Hello, 3Designers. I'm Joshua St. John, 3Design NYC on the forum, and this is 3Design's video demonstration series. Today's demonstration is going to focus on what to do when you get 3Design, either first-time users or updates. We're going to look at installation, setting up the options under F12, general workspace layout, mouse moves, and interface. Welcome to my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and launch the new version of the program by double-clicking. It's looking for the security device. This is the dongle that you have been given. And now you're coming into what we call our splash screen. Now the splash screen, if you're connected to the internet, will change all the time. It's controlled by headquarters in France, and we use it to tell you about new releases or events that are coming up or display exciting new changes or designs, etc. So keep your eyes peeled for the updating splash screens. And once the program has loaded, it's checked with the security device, the dongle. I'm connected to the internet, so it's checked to see that my license file is up to date. If you do not have a hard copy of your license file, probably a good idea to ask. Your local territory manager can help you with that. The license file, if you are not connected to the internet, it's always good to have on hand. Normally, your computer should do this automatically, but it's always a good idea to have a copy of your license file. It does belong to you. While I'm talking about that, I'm going to talk about something that's a little off topic, but very important nonetheless. When you buy 3Design, you need to list the program as a capital asset with your insurance, because if your dongle is lost or stolen, it is just like losing or having stolen a capital asset. And if you have it on your insurance, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to replace it for you. So just keep that in mind, that the dongle is just like your laser welder or any other capital asset that you have in your business, and it should be listed on your business insurance. Okay, so now we are inside of 3Design. This is our home screen or our root screen. If you notice, there's a red check next to the root. I have Open Document, which if I click on, will bring me into my directories. I can look around for the file I want to open. Underneath that, all the files that I've worked with recently are listed, and they have little thumbnails that pop up as I scroll over them. And then below that, we have Create a New Part. There are some other icons on the desktop, and I'm not going to get into those right now. Perhaps we'll do it in another demonstration, but feel free to click on them and figure out what they can do for you. I'm going to click on Create a New Part, and that is going to bring us into the 3Design workspace. So this is the 3Design workspace. If yours looks different than mine, it's because you're installing 3Design for the first time. So I want you to hit F12 or go up to Tools, Options, notice F12 right next to it, and the first thing we're going to click on, we're going to skip around a little bit here. The first thing that we're going to click on is Axes and Planes. If you notice, all of mine are set to show, and my default plane size is 50 millimeter. Everything else I'm going to leave as it is. I'm going to click on Apply, hit OK, and then exit the program without saving. Now I'm going to restart the program. Click on Create a New Part, and go back into the workspace. Now you should all have 1, 2, 3 planes and 1, 2, 3 axes. Alright, so let's talk about mouse moves. Mouse moves are going to be the controls that you do with the mouse to influence the workspace. So selecting, choosing tools, rotating, panning, all of these controls are going to be done with the mouse. Now, for the video demonstration series, when I click with my left mouse button, it's going to put red rings around the cursor. And when I click with the right mouse button, it's going to put the blue rings around the cursor. That should help you get a sense of what I'm doing with the mouse, but I'll go over a few of the most important controls right now. Now I'm going to assume everybody's using a 3-button mouse. Left mouse click is to select something. As you can see, this plane is now outlined in blue. That means it's selected. Now, the axis. is blue, this means it is selected. If I want to multi-select, then I hold Control and I can select as many objects as I want. Letting go of Control and selecting again will unselect all of those. So that's left mouse click. Right mouse click allows me to twist the workspace to be able to rotate around an object. The third mouse button is the track wheel. And if you pull the track wheel towards you, the workspace zooms in. And if you push the track wheel away from you, the workspace zooms out. So the left mouse button selects, holding Control and the left mouse button multi-selects, letting go of Control and reselecting, unselects. The track wheel zooms, and the right mouse button allows you to twist the workspace. The other most important function is called panning. What panning is moving the workspace from side to side or up and down on the screen. You can achieve this in one of two ways. I do it by holding down the track wheel like it's a button and simultaneously holding down the right mouse button. This is a little tricky to do on some mouses. So the alternative is holding down Shift and Alt on the keyboard and left mouse button on the mouse. Those are the most important mouse moves that we have. There are some other shortcuts and interesting things you can do with your mouse, and we'll touch on those in other video demonstration series installments. But for now, that's going to give us the tools that we need to be able to navigate the workspace. Now you'll notice each of the planes has some letters associated with it. OXZ, OYZ, OXY. I will never refer to these planes by these letters. The reason? It's just complicated to understand. When I say OXY or OXZ, I always forget which one's which. The way I will refer to the planes is using my compass down below. This is the top view plane. This is the front view plane. And this is the side view plane. So the compass down here, as you can see, if I put my mouse over the arrow, it turns the arrow a different color. It highlights it. So looking at the compass, you can see when it's squared on one side, I can click on the arrows and they change color, and that means they're highlighted. And if I hover over the arrow, they change color, and if I click, it spins to that side. When I have a little bit of perspective, like this, I can see that the compass is surrounded by a cube. And if I hover over one of the faces of the cube, it goes a frosted color, and then I click on it, it will turn me to that cube. So you do have to be careful that when you click, you're actually highlighting it so it spins you to where you want to be. So again, top view, side view, and front view. These two other arrows rotate it around an axis. So I can spin it this way or that way, depending on how I want to look at my workspace. I have another arrow down here, and I can change the compass to a necklace, or a watch, or a frog. I usually keep it on ring, and I can change it from small to large to medium. I usually keep mine on large or medium. So compass is a new feature of V7. Those of you who have been using 3DESIGN since previous versions, you'll remember that these functions were listed in this side, the right-hand side. Some of the functions that were available there are now available if you hover over the 3DESIGN icon on the right-hand side. So that's how we navigate the workspace. Now let's look at the side columns. On the left-hand side, you see is listed as tree. Below tree, we have properties. On the right-hand side, I have tools and I have help. On the bottom, I have my symbols library. You'll notice that your symbols are different than mine, and I'll explain why that is later and how you can add your own symbols to this library. Now, if you notice, I have this yellow plug here, and I have this arrow here. If I hit the plug, it pops out my tree and my properties so I can move the window around. If I was using multiple monitors, I could then move this whole box to another monitor. The same is possible by doing it on this side. We can move these around anywhere we want. If we want to put them back where they were, just hit the red X and it automatically goes back. Now, if you notice on the tree, there's also, if I hover on the tab, there's also a red X. That closes it. And the properties, that closes it. Now, there's this white arrow here. If you choose Create an Editor, I can bring my tree back, and I can bring my properties back. This means I could also close this and put my help here. So you can customize your workspace, but I recommend, at least for the first 6 months of getting to know the program, keep it with the default settings, which is tree, upper left, properties, lower left, tools, upper right, help, lower right. So if we look, we are currently in the solid module. The solid module is this list of tools. If I double click anywhere on these tools, it'll close all of the drawers. If you look, toolkit, solid figures, construct, position, special effect, duplicate, surface controls, curves, deform, measure, group, and support. These are all the tools inside the solid module. I can double click, close all my drawers, triple click. A little tricky to do that triple click. Triple click, they all open back up. If I hover on the solid module, you'll see select a workbench pops up. If I click on solid module, this brings us to our jeweler's bench. Again, if I double click, it closes all the tools, and triple click opens them back up. So first of all, the top set, the toolkit is the same. We have our part, our sketch, rendering, and modeling. If you do not see modeling on yours, contact your local territory manager to ask about the 3-shaper. Ring creation, stone creation, jeweling, gemstone setting, editing tools, information, and export. So as you can see, the jeweler's bench is all related to jewelry-specific functions. So the solid module and the jeweler's bench. You get back and forth between these by clicking at the top right-hand side of your screen. So I'm going to put a sketch on the front view plane and draw a couple of circles. Now, as you can see, once we enter sketch, we have a whole new set of tools. Toolkit, draw, modify, transform, points, and tools. And again, at the top, we can click from freestyle to layout. And layout has more tools. Toolkit, layout, transform, and measure. The way to exit out of the sketch mode, either freestyle or layout, you have a few options. You can click on Exit Current Editor. Now we're in the solid module. If I want to go back into the sketch, I can double click back on an element that's in the sketch, like this circle. Now I'm back in the sketch. My other option for exiting the sketch is to go to the part in the history tree and double click. Now that'll bring me back into the solid module. I'm going to select, using the left mouse button, the circles. These last two circles, I'm going to select the first circle and the second circle holding Control, and then delete both at the same time. We're going to go back into F12, either by going up to Tools and hitting Options F12, or hitting F12 itself on the keyboard. We're going to take a look at some of the presets that I always do when I first install 3DESIGN on some new user's computer. I'm not going to go over everything. I'm just going to go over some of the basic important features so you understand what they are and you understand how to set up 3DESIGN so it looks the same way as it does on mine in the video demonstration series. Once you get comfortable enough with the interface, you can customize it in any way that you want. But for, like I said, for the first 6 months, let's keep it the way that I set it up for these demonstrations. That way, every time you're watching one, it looks the same for you. First off, under General, the one thing I change is I put it to pennyweight. It's important to always hit Apply after you make a change. That way it sets it in. Display. Under Display, I have mine set on High. You may want to keep yours set on Normal. I wouldn't recommend Low unless your computer is very, very slow. Normal and High are in general the two that you're going to be using, and Top Quality would be reserved for people with very, very fast computers. Now, some of this stuff is redundant. As you can see, the compass size is also down here as we went over earlier. Shape and compass, same thing. It's very important to make sure that Advanced Material Display is checked. This tells 3DESIGN that you have a graphics card, either ATI or NVIDIA, in your machine. The minimum requirements for running 3DESIGN are to have this advanced card, so you're going to want to make sure that's checked. Next, axis and planes. All should be set to shown, as we did that earlier. Apply. Miscellaneous. I always keep delete empty elements on and always prompt before deleting empty elements off. So make sure yours is like that as well. I also have my autosave set to 1,000 seconds. You may want to put yours lower than that, like 300. Apply. Number of undos. Let's set that to 25. Hit Apply. Number of decimal points. We're going to want to put 3 there. Okay? That's all I'm going to go over in these F12 options. So we're going to hit Apply here. Okay. And go ahead and close the program. You do not have to save. And then immediately relaunch 3DESIGN. All right, now we're back at our root screen. We're going to create another part. Go back into the workspace. And we're going to go up to View and go to Background. As you probably noticed, the top of my background is different than yours. Yours is set to default. This is the default background. I prefer to have my background color white on the top and blue on the bottom. You can change it to anything that you'd like, but for me, I do set to default, and then on the left-hand side, hit white on the top, and go with that. There's one last topic I want to touch on, and it's customizing and shortcuts. In order to demonstrate that, I'm going to make a sketch on the front view plane. You've probably noticed that when you go into the sketch, your grid is much different than mine. We're going to change that by going all the way down to the bottom in Tools and clicking on Grid. Now, you're going to enter grid spacing at 0.5 millimeter. Right mouse click to enter. You're going to put a major grid line every 2, and you're going to limit the grid size to 50. Now your grid should look the same as mine. Validate that. Now, what exactly does this grid do? Okay, let's take a NURB, this curve, and try to draw just a squiggly line. Now, as you see, I'm free to put the points anywhere that I want. If I go back to grid and turn snap to grid on, Now when I move the points, they only snap to one of the grid intersection lines. This is very convenient. If I want to make a cross section, let's say, that's 5 millimeters wide, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so move that there. It's very easy to make symmetric curves using our snaps. But now I want to turn my snaps off. So I'm going to click back on, turn snaps off, and validate. Now I'm free to move anywhere I wish. This segues right into the customization. Under Tools, Customize, you'll see a list of all of the tools in 3DESIGN come up. If you're under Insert as the category, all the way down at the bottom, you'll see Grid. I'm going to check mine, and I'm going to enter the letter G and hit OK. Now, if I want to bring up my grid tool, all I have to do is hit the letter G. Turn my grids on, snaps, hit G, turn my grid off, unsnap. Now a shortcut could be made for every tool in 3DESIGN. Grids is one that I use often, so I'd like you to set that one up, and you can set yours up any way you'd like to customize it. Now grid is only in the sketch, and if you notice, if I go to my tools, customize, while I'm inside sketch, it's all sketch tools. If I was to leave my sketch by clicking on the part and go to tools, customize, all of my solid module tools come up. And the same is true for the jeweler's bench. If I go to tools, customize, it's all the jeweler's bench tools. All right, so that wraps up. Welcome to 3DESIGN, this first edition of the video demonstration series. We covered a lot of topics. Installation of the program, mouse moves, interface from the compass to the different modules and how to get around them, solid module with the jeweler's bench sketch with layout and freeform. We talked about F12 options. We adjusted our background color. I showed you the grid and grid spacing and snaps and how to use them in the sketch. And also we did some customization of shortcuts. Now, this was a lot of information to cover, but I think it's a really good start. For those of you that are new to the program, contact your local territory manager or register for the forum. We want to get you all up on the forum talking about these videos. If there are things I left out, it's a great place for people to point them out and to get a dialogue going. The forum is going to be one of your best resources for getting past technical hurdles and getting over this learning curve quickly. We've got a great network of 3 designers around the world that participate in the forum and are willing to help you out. So go ahead and get up there and ask questions and post your comments. I am Joshua St. John, 3Design NYC. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.